Now let's go to our daily training camp report from all PHLY Eagles. 2:00 today. You got to make sure you're watching Bo Wulf and Zach Berman. They do such an incredible job. Good morning, Bo. How are you?
I'm good, cuz you look like you got some color this weekend.
I was in Wildwood for a baseball tournament.
Nice.
Yeah, so we
How'd we do?
Not good. Not good. I mean, not bad. They lost.
Like
They
the
played
Phils.
up. So we're an 11U team, and we played in a 12U tournament. We lost 2-1, 9-8, and then we were in a consolation game, and we smashed. We won 12-2 in the 14-2 in the.
I mean, that's a plus 10 win run differential in 3 games. Yes. That's not so bad.
But it was really like a great. The kids loved it. Like they were all together. Water parks, boardwalk. It was so much fun. That's what
it's all about. Those are the memories, man.
Yeah, they do such a great job because they have the beach packed, right? And they build the whole field. They built 5 fields on the Wildwood Beach. Fences. Cool. It's awesome. It was really cool. You're watching the waves in the background. So it was cool. Good for the kids. That. So let's go. More importantly, Friday night, let's go with your takeaways from Friday night. We talked about Jeremiah Trotter Jr., obviously. I think he was tops the list.
Yeah, you know what? I think we talked about before the game. One of the things that I find most interesting about the preseason games is like getting to evaluate those positions that we don't really get to evaluate quite as well in a practice setting. And for me, that's linebacker and running back. And I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised by both of those groups. I do agree that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. looked the part. Was not a surprise to me. You know, I've been gassing him up all summer.
Yep.
I think he very clearly knows what he's doing there at a degree that is ahead of schedule for a rookie. And I think he's like borderline trustworthy there, which is interesting for a group that needs that. Now, Zach Bond, I asked Vic Fangio yesterday about this because, you know, Vic is the guy who identified Bond in free agency. He didn't play linebacker at New Orleans. You know, what was it about what you saw that made you think that he had the instincts to do it? And he said, you know, it only happened a couple times, but it looked like he knew what he was doing. He said he's had a very good camp. First couple plays on Friday night against the Ravens were not so great, but, you know, then he sort of settled in. So I think that is one to watch. Devin White is I'm sure, going to be one of the 2 starting linebackers. He brings just a much different element of like physical ability than they have there. And Nakobe Dean, I actually thought, after having sort of a down week the past couple practices, had a pretty good game. You can still see with him, he knows what he's doing moving forward. He's not great in coverage right now, and I don't know if that's ever going to come. But it was encouraging to see him bounce back after having a down night, especially at the open practice at the lake.
Let's talk about the front. What did you think of the front?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting that Becton got a series at right guard. As I've said, I mean, this competition, I think, is over. It is going to be Mekhi Becton, assuming that he doesn't get injured week 1. But I actually thought that Tyler Steen looked pretty good, and he's fighting through an injury. So that was encouraging too. I think he's eventually going to have to be their top backup. You look at the guys beyond that, like, you know, Darian Kennard had to play the entire game at right tackle, which was interesting. I don't know if that's because they're trying to hide Aneem Dankwa, or if it's just they didn't trust Dankwa and they wanted to protect Tanner McKee. I like Dylan McMahon, the 6th round pick, who was the backup center on Friday night. I think he sort of has the team made. I thought Trevor Keegan also looked good, so that's encouraging that both of those rookies seem to be ahead of schedule. And, you know, Fred Johnson had a good game for those offensive linemen.
How about the defensive front?
Defensive front. Now, here's one I want to know what you think, cuz.
Yeah.
You know, Nolan Smith gets that sack.
Yeah,
right?
But, I mean, he was unabated to the quarterback. I mean,
unabated. It's against a backup, an undrafted rookie left tackle who doesn't see it coming. I thought the more important play that Nolan Smith made was, I think, the very next play when he makes the pursuit on the backside.
Yes.
You know, the thing that Nolan Smith can do reliably right now is hustle. Right, that is the superpower that he has, is that he has a high motor. That's good, but I remain a little bit skeptical that he's going to bring a ton pass rush wise. Now, he had a good practice yesterday. There were no pads on, but it seemed like he had a sack against Jordan Mailata. But I am, that sack was in the third quarter, coming off the nickel position against a guy who wasn't expecting it coming. I'm still like, I need to see it before I believe it with Nolan
I
Smith
know.
right now.
I know. And it's funny because they need him. They need him to take a step up. They do. And I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, I wonder, is he just too one dimensional off the outside? Because it's just always about speed off the edge, and that's it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody on the sideline about this, and there was when he comes in, there's the obvious comparison to Hassan Reddick, right? They're similar height and
Yes.
weight,
Yeah.
but he is not. He is nowhere near as violent as Hassan Reddick is with his hands. Like, he doesn't have as much power as Hassan Reddick did, and so he has to win, even though he has this crazy high motor. Like, he has to win by going around the edge and just going around guys. And unless you have a plan B, a second move, a counter to that, it's hard to win. And right now, I don't know that he has that. I mean, you're right that they're going to need somebody else now.
Somebody's got to step up there. I mean, we talk all the time about how the interior.
Yes, somebody needs to step up, and we expect that Jalen Carter is going to go from really good to great, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody else to make that jump. That could be Jordan Davis going as a pass rusher from okay to good. It could be the same thing for Milton Williams. It could be Josh Sweat playing at the level he played the first half of last season for a whole season. It could be Bryce Huff doing the same thing, a larger sample size, doing what he did with the Jets. It could be Brandon Graham turning back the clock. It could be Nolan Smith going from borderline unplayable to a realistic, third guy in the rotation. It could be Jalix Hunt going from a guy who I was expecting to sort of be a redshirt player this year. Maybe he can be that fourth guy, because I thought, I do think that
actually
he
showed me a little
right?
something. I mean, I get it. It's against competition, but his instincts looked real to me.
I agree with that, and physically he looks the part to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt that he's a raw pass rusher. He's not a refined,
Right.
with his hand skills and stuff like that. You're not expecting that, but he looks the part to me. I agree with that.
I liked Johnny Wilson. I forget, only caught the one pass, but he had two good blocks on the bubble screens. And I like that. I'm like, because that's a weapon. If you can get him blocking on the outside like that, that's a big deal.
What it's interesting. It's the very first thing that Nick Sirianni mentioned about 2 weeks ago when he was asked about that wide receiver competition, and he was talking about the mixing and matching that they have the ability to do there potentially. And the very first thing he mentioned was Johnny Wilson's blocking, and that was before we even saw these guys play in a real game. And it was nice to see that followed through to the game. I do think that, he's obviously and very clearly the only guy outside of the top two who can do that. I think it's a path to getting on the field for him. He had a really good day at practice yesterday, pretty good in one-on-ones. And then at the very end of practice, Nick Sirianni does this every now and then where he's calling out guys. It's a one-on-one in front of the whole team. The offense is cheering on the offense. The defense is cheering on the defense. And the first play, it was a little bit sad. He has Aniyah Smith come out and he says, "Bring me a safety." So from the beginning, you're pitting this fifth-round wide receiver against a safety. You're not even trusting him to go up against the corner. And out comes Andre Sam, the undrafted rookie from LSU. And Aniyah Smith is in the slot, which means, because in one-on-ones from the slot, you got the whole field to work with. There is no easier assignment than this. And he does a little shake on Andre's Sam, goes to the outside, a little bit of separation. Tanner McKee throws the ball right to his hands, and Sam makes the play and knocks it away. Defense goes crazy. Next play, he goes one more. We got Johnny Wilson on the outside against Quinion Mitchell. And Quinion Mitchell's been very good. I think one of the stars this summer, had a pretty good day yesterday. And Johnny Wilson gets a little bit of a step on him, just keeps it going down the sideline, runs a fly, and Will Grier puts it right there for him. Wilson makes the play. So I generally think that the idea that Johnny Wilson has had a great summer and is this breakout player is a little bit overstated. I think it's more a product of they don't really have anybody else. And so there's reason to believe in him. He's giving them something different than what they have, but he has gotten better over the course of the summer. He is making a little bit more of an impact. So I still believe that the Eagles are going to make a move there at some point, but I think there is reason to be optimistic about Johnny Wilson. And as you said, he brings more to the table than just his wide catch radius. He can do a little something for them as a blocker.
Hey, Bo, thanks for putting Lou Nichols on our radar. That kid's a stud.
My baby Lou.
His acceleration. I'm all about Lou Nichols now.
I'll tell you what, though, I thought all the running backs looked pretty good. Tyrion Davis-Price showed a little bit of a flash to me. Even Milton was not bad. But yeah, Lou is my guy, the official Bo Wulf camp crush of the summer. The litany of these guys is undefeated, so you can expect big things for Lou.
Yeah, man. And what about John Ross came alive? We said he might have been dead on Friday, and
you thought he came alive?
Catches. Huh?
What did you see from John Ross that you liked?
He led the league, led the team in reception yards, didn't he? He made a couple grabs.
Well, I mean, they didn't have a catch for more than 10 yards. I mean, I thought the red flag for John Ross was he got that step on that early in I think it was the first possession, and Pickett throws the ball, and it's an underthrown ball. It's not a good pass. But John Ross, I mean, he's a veteran. He's got to come back to that ball and try to force PI. Like, this is your whole bread and butter is these routes. He's got to play that better. And so, I would say I'm still, I'm not holding on to my John Ross shares.
What are you feeling on Nakobe Dean? He had one tackle.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice violent play that he had to force that PBU as well. But I just, it's the year 3.
Yeah,
it's not, nothing's popping to me. And so I'm more on the Trot Jr. bus than the Dean bus right now.
All right. What about my man McKee? Looked good.
Yeah, I mean the numbers are not great, but there were like 4 drops in there, and he's working with slop.
You just look at if you just watched it, he looked. I like him better than Pickett. I just do.
So do I. We're on the same page there. I Pickett like. He has to work so hard to get the ball out. It's so many moving parts, and it's such an uncatchable ball, don't you think? Like he fires these balls in on these interior passes. It's tough to watch, and then the ball on the outside it just floats. Whereas McKee, like it's a much more nice and easy throwing motion. I think he's a little bit more accurate. I think he has a better understanding of the offense. There's no doubt he's less athletic than Pickett is, but. Like I don't think Pickett would be a disaster, if he got to play with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in this offensive line. I think you could, score some points. But I do think that, long term I'm more intrigued by McKee.
I am too. I just think he's a legitimate prospect. I look at him, I go, you know what? I still like his poise. I like the way he sees the field, all those little things. And I'm with you. Like, I think he just throws a nice ball, man. It's just a catchable ball.
I totally agree. And he sees it. I mean, some of those passes he threw were like, those guys had no separation, and he fitted into a keyhole, right? And then there were a couple ones where he made the perfect read, and I think it was maybe Jacob Harris who just dropped the ball. Like, it was tough to watch. I would like to see him get some. And to be fair, over the course of the last week plus in camp, every now and then he's getting reps with the 2s at Pickett's expense. So they are flirting with it a little bit.
All right, let's talk about this week ahead now. So this is a big week for them because you get the joint practice with the Patriots and then the game. How do you think the whole thing's going to play out, and who might we see, in the second game?
Yeah, Cam Jurgens said yesterday that like they approach this practice like a game. It is a game to them. And you hear that, and it's a little bit overstated. But I think that it's more like, it's likely that this is going to be the best work that the starters, especially on offense, get all summer. Nick Sirianni explained and said that the reason the starters on offense didn't play on Friday was because of the weather, which we were sort of joking about. But I don't know if they want to get those guys one series of just going through the operation against the Patriots on Thursday night. I think that's possible. Probably more likely than them doing it in the 3rd preseason game. But tomorrow it's the one day of joint practice. And usually you would get 2 of these, it would be 2 practices. So it's interesting that it's only one day. I wonder if they'll go a little bit long, but it'll be the best work that they have. And the Patriots defense is pretty good. So I think that'll be a good test for the Eagles offense. Patriots offense, not so good. So you would hope that the Eagles defense can dominate that side of the matchup. I'm curious, I do think that it's like how does Mekhi Becton hold up? Because he hasn't played hasn't played inside against starting caliber players yet. Let's see how he does. There's really not much else to be worried about on offense. And then on defense, I guess, it's the linebackers, it's the corners. And I wonder if we're going to see, it was interesting to me in the Ravens game that when they were in base, it was Quinion Mitchell on the outside to start with over Kelee Ringo. I think there's a chance that Quinion Mitchell is going to make a push to start week 1 on the outside. I think that's possible.
I know he had a big day yesterday at camp too. He's good. You just look at him; he looks smooth. Like he looks like a pro.
I agree, and Isaiah Rodgers has had a very good camp. I think he's very trustworthy on the outside. But this guy, Quinion Mitchell, is your first round pick. Are you gonna? And I have been saying all along, I don't think that he needs to start week 1. Like that corner position is often a developmental position. Quinion Mitchell's, the bar for him is that he can replace Darius Slay next year, be the starter there on the outside. But at the same time, are you really going to stunt his growth? Like those reps are bars of gold, coaches say, right? And the team in December is going to be made better off if he gets those reps early in the season. Are you going to not give him those reps at the expense of Isaiah Rodgers?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, dude. I love that kid. I think that kid. I'm curious. So give me an update on Cooper. When do we get to see DeJean?
Good question. We saw him working to the side yesterday, which I believe is the first time we've seen that this summer, where he was not just sort of standing around and watching practice. He was actually doing the physical stuff. I've heard some rumors that they expect him back pretty soon. My guess, and this is total speculation, is that after the Patriots game, when they return to practice, that's when they will start to ramp him back up.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Bo, great stuff. 2:00 today. What's on the agenda with you and Zach?
Yeah, I mean, Zach and I haven't talked since the game itself, so we got to review the game and yesterday's practice, sort of give a refresh position by position of where these guys stand, some of the roster battles to keep an eye on over the next 2 weeks.
Dude, I mean, we're after Thursday, 1 left, and then it's a downward sprint to the opener in Brazil.
Here we go, baby. Lou Nichols.
Wait. Love it. Thanks, buddy. Yep. Here he is, the Bo Wulf.
Loves his. We all silly like the mayor.